Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Terriers Talk. And again, as pretty much don't want to sound like a broken record, but for the same reasons as last week or last episode, so I should say, double header reviewing Birmingham, previewing Sheffield Wednesday. It's been very hectic. Obviously, Tuesday, Saturday is also not as forgiving as Saturday, Tuesday is. Um, it's been one of those weeks. Birmingham, neither of us went. Probably a good
No,
thing.
thank God.
Probably a good thing.
Yeah, thank God none of us went because that was an absolute shambles. I don't think there's any other way of putting it. And unfortunately, we were quite optimistic in the run up to the Birmingham game, and I think we both predicted wins. I think
Yeah.
even you predicted a clean sheet. And sorry, Ben, but this prediction for you is well off it.
Well off, yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, this is probably one of your bad days because 4-1. Town was just absolutely terrible from the word go.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
is.
it's so discouraging to see because, and even more frustrating when we saw what 3 days earlier what we could do to a team like Ipswich and to come out and lose 4-1. And I know St Andrews is a really tough place to go, but really there's no excuse to lose 4-1. And hopefully this is just a dark day for Darren Moore's Huddersfield Town, and hopefully we don't kind of reach those um, really, really low lows again this season because whatever he said to those players didn't work. And I think it's probably fair to start even before the game, before any football was kicked with the lineup and six defenders were started. So, what's your kind of take on that?
I don't understand it, being quite honest. Because you can kind of look at it and say that it's potentially rotational. But then the likes of Helic wasn't rested. So that wipes that one out of the question. So it's kind of like six defenders is a bit rogue. I can understand wanting to try people and see whereabouts they're at. You know, he hasn't seen Nakayama play as a holding midfielder. I don't think Nakayama's played as a holding midfielder in probably about 18 months.
Hopefully, he doesn't as well
Um,
again
hasn't
because
seen Tommy Lees play football in person for God knows how long.
mm,
Um, it it's a lineup that if we win, we go, he's a genius. This, that, the other. It's a lineup where we've lost, and we go, hang on a minute, I'm a bit confused by it, and I don't think we'll ever really understand why he's done that. And I'm praying it was just an experimental
yeah,
game. Things went
yeah,
wrong. End of it. Back to what worked against Ipswich. Back to what worked in the second half against Coventry because just that it worked. It didn't against Birmingham. We never really looked at it. It was poor, and that's a performance that we haven't seen in a while. I'd say that was on par with Plymouth, where we just kind of we looked very timid, um,
mm,
and just looked very out of it, which is somewhat uncommon to see this season.
yeah. I think poor is the word that anyone could use to sum it up, and I think it is just the word that kind of resonates with Town's performance. It was just really, really poor. And I mean, individually as well, poor. And let's talk about the first mistake. Unfortunately, their first goal and Lee Nichols to come from his, you know, making some world class saves on Saturday to making such an error in the second minute on Tuesday. How do you explain that?
I don't think you do.
I don't
Um,
think you can. I just think it's one of those,
it's
just one of
such a
those days for him.
yeah, it's such a cliche, but it's just it's football. There will be games
Mm.
where players don't have the best performances. You see that at the very bottom level of the game. You see it in Sunday League. You see it at the very top level. There are games where your Ronaldo's and Messi's don't have a top performance. There are games where your under sevens star player in your Sunday league team doesn't have the best performance. It happens at every level of the game. It's frustrating. I think probably your goalkeeper's the worst player that it can happen to, because if they have a howler of a day, then you're gonna be on the end of a poor scoreline. So
Especially so early on in the game. If
yeah,
you're making such an error, it's very hard to kind of say, right, come on, Lee, pick yourself up. And I know he's probably done that before, but you know, in a cold, wet, dark night of St Andrews, when you've got a lot of brummies behind your back giving you pelters or whatever, it's a very, very hard place to get out of, and
yeah.
didn't really get better, did it?
No, no, it was like I say, it's quite similar to Plymouth. I think Plymouth had spells where we looked all right, and there were spells where we came back into the game, but Plymouth just didn't punish us as much as they could and probably should have done.
Yeah,
Birmingham did. Birmingham just
completely.
we looked poor, just start to finish. Conceding 2 minutes, you're always going to have that mindset as a viewer anyway of right, we're fighting an uphill battle here, and it's already a bit touch and go. But from the opening 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we didn't look at it. Um, we've spoke about how good Michael Hellick's been this season. Hellick again didn't have the best of games.
Pearson looked really shaky.
Pearson looked unconfident.
Mhm.
Lazy didn't look incredible. Again, that's probably due to the fact that he's been injured. Like it's his first professional football back, so
Yeah,
understandable. But when you've got a full line that don't really look 100% in not in just themselves but in each other, you're kind of going right. Okay, then what's caused that? Um, it's it's just a game where we're gonna look at literally everything that we can and just go, it's poor.
mm,
It's not what we've seen under Moore so far, but it's a very good kind of kick up the backside as a kind of right. We've got such a huge game on Saturday. Don't show me anything like that. You need to be
yeah,
the complete opposite of that. You need to be the Birmingham City in that game and just press and attack and be absolutely relentless.
completely. And I don't want to go on and sound very negative for a while because I know that's depressing to listen to and depressing to kind of speak about. But goals were scored and we've got to go through them. And the second goal again, all our back line like a deer in headlights. You know, Cody Drame puts a delicious ball in, kind of round our back line, and Koji Miyoshi is there to tap it in. And again, we've got three or four bodies stood still, and no one's reacted to the ball, and he's just got an easy tap in, and that's 2-0 after 23 minutes. And again, it is absolutely inexcusable for us to defend like that, given how we defended on Saturday and given how the level we're playing at and the players we've got. It's inexcusable, to be fair.
You don't expect it, and I think that's the biggest factor about it. Like we've gone on about how good our defense is and has been for months now.
Mm.
Even when we weren't doing the podcast, when we'd speak, it was a case of our defense is what's kept us up last year, is what put us in a good position the year before that. We're normally quite a solid defensive team, and a performance like that defensively, just we haven't seen in a while. And obviously, like I said, they will come around, and it's such a cliche. They'll happen, this, that, the other. But yeah, it's a game where we were at the races, and it's got to be looked at as we were at the race. It can't become the oh well, it's happened. Go from there. It's a case of right, okay, that's happened. We need to not
Yeah,
allow this to happen again.
yeah, you sweep it under the carpet. I think that's what we're trying to do. Three halftime changes. So Brahim Diarra came on for Ben Wiles, and now you're expecting energy for energy. And Diarra, we know what he can do. He is the player on our team who, if you give the ball, you have the most confidence in to run and beat players. So again, fair substitution. Um, I mean, poor Josh Ruffland by, sorry, Ben Jackson did. Ruffles as well is quite poor. I digress. Jaheim Headley came on for Ruffles. Um, Bergzog, nowhere to be seen. Came on for sorry, replaced by Josh Corona. And then Ben Jackson came off in the 61st minute for Tom Edwards, and yeah, Jackson was absolutely rinsed by Siriki Dembele every single time. He just had him on strings. Dembele had the freedom to do what he wanted, to showboat how much he wanted, to knock it, down the line, and know in his head that he's going to get to the ball no matter how much of a head start Jackson had. And 3 minutes later, after Jackson was taken off, he scored.
It's a good strike, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good strike. Don't help that Nichols want on it, but it's a good strike.
Well, no one's pressing him for
Nah,
starters. No one is pressing him. They're going, "Oh, go on, Siriki, show us what you're made of," and he did.
it's a goal that it sums up the game quite well, in it really.
Yeah.
Um, just things that we've seen Town do in previous games didn't happen. You'd expect Nichols to say that with ease normally. Didn't. To perfectly good goal to summarise the performance. We just everything that you'd expect to happen in that situation, um, just didn't, and it's frustrating. But
Mm,
equally, then looking at it, like I said, it's a now a bar where you cannot go back to.
no.
It's a statement where you kind of look at, and the thing is Darren Moore's a man motivational coach, but you can bet that he'll have said some choice words in that dressing room. Even at 3-0, you're getting choice words. At 3-1, you're still getting choice words because while you've scored,
It's not acceptable.
no, exactly.
And then 4, you're thinking, right,
4,
okay.
just yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, so Town did score and give, I wouldn't even say some fans something to cheer about. I just think it was, yeah, okay, we scored. Just get the ball, put it back on the spot, and just wait for the final whistle and don't concede another. And that's what Town did. And I think this goal probably sums up the game maybe a bit more um, than the third goal, because this goal, Jordan James gets the ball probably 35 yards out, and we've got probably 3 or 4 players. Not one of them goes to him. He's allowed to drive with the ball, and he just fires it from probably 20, 25 yards. Good strike. You can't take that away from him into the bottom corner. And no one looks bothered. And I don't think they even celebrate. It's just one of those, oh, high five, yeah, well done, good goal, because they know how easy it's been. I think I saw a Birmingham fan comment, "Thanks for the easiest game I've ever seen at St Andrews, or one of the easiest games." And it was. We just completely laid down and uh, succumbed to a decent side, but again, a decent side who haven't won in 5 games, and we were the side who are,
unbeaten in
yet
5.
yet to lose, yeah, unbeaten in 5 games. So it just shows it is the beauty of the championship, and it just shows how unpredictable the league is. And I think Town can't really take anything positive out of the game. Um, and yeah, I mean, we've just got to draw the line at that. I mean, the only commendable thing I could say that Town did, or one individual did, was Tom Edwards supporting Bakuna when some absolute fool, one of his own fans, racially abused him, and Edwards, supported him. But again, that isn't football, and that isn't the way to act, and people shouldn't be doing that. But fair play to Tom Edwards, and that's the only thing that I could say, give yourself a pat on the back for. The actual football, not a chance.
Nice, it is happened, hasn't it? The game
It's
that is.
happened. We
Y-
just got to move on.
yeah, there's nothing really else to add to it that comes with any value. It's an experimental game. He's tried something, it hasn't worked. Hopefully we go back to what we've seen against Wednesday, which in my opinion is a perfect segue to kind of move on to that game. If there's a game that you need to bounce back for, if there's a game that you have to bounce back for, if there's a game that you would wish to bounce back for, at this point in time, probably
Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday. Saying
However,
that,
however, yes. Two words.
Huddersfield Town.
Neil. I know. I was thinking Neil Warnock.
No, I don't think he'll be in charge for tomorrow if he is appointed. Obviously, he's now the bookie's favourite. And he'd love that job, wouldn't he? But
Oh yeah.
I don't think he'll be in charge for tomorrow. This is where he's announced as Wednesday manager at 12 o'clock, and things start to get a bit shaky. Just for
Imagine.
reference, we are recording this on Friday morning. So at the moment, Neil Warnock is the bookie's favourite at 7-4
7-4. Yep.
after being 10-1 around 10 a.m. yesterday morning.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's a
It
game
just got a
where
whole lot bigger, didn't it? It got a
yeah,
whole lot bigger.
after Tuesday, yeah, after Tuesday's performance, you have to come away from that game and go right. We have to put any doubts in our own fans' mind to the
Got to
back of
win.
the mind after
You
that
have to
result.
win.
Yeah, you have to win and you have to be
It's simple as
convincing.
that. It is simple as that. You have to win because what looked like two draws and a good start has now turned into two draws and a loss for Darren Moore and a convincing loss. Um, and this in your fourth game in charge has to be, especially against the opposition we're coming up against. And I think Sheffield Wednesday fans will agree. I don't think that's any utter disrespect to them at all. They are woeful, and you know, worst they made their worst start in the club's history. Um, People are turning on the owners more and more every day. Hillsborough, which was once an absolute fortress last season, is now anyone can kind of get in there and not even steal a result, get a result. And you need to hit him where it hurts when they're down the most. And I think we will have an advantage naturally because Darren Moore knows the club, knows the players, know how they play. But also, if you kind of scrap it, not Ipswich game, God, I wish we didn't scrap that. If you scrap the commentary Birmingham, it's too early. If you scrap the Birmingham game, we've had a really, really decent run of form, and they've collected 2 points this season. One at Leeds away, one at with Middlesbrough at home, and again, Borough are there for the taking. Leeds didn't have a good day, but we should really, really beat these with no kind of hesitation or doubt whatsoever. But as you said, Huddersfield Town, we never do it simply, do we?
No, and I think I'd love to. I'm confident for the game. I am, but then there's that little bit of me that's growing by the kind of hour as we look to play them. That's going, well, do we?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's normal considering what kind of game it is, but this one just kind of feels like it's gonna mean a lot more towards the end of the season.
There's a lot
You,
at stake, isn't there?
yeah, there's a lot of stake. There's put it this way, a lot of people see us as pardon me, as one of the favourites to go down alongside Wednesday. Getting 3 points at Hillsborough, albeit not as much as a fortress as it was last season, it's still Hillsborough, regardless
And it's still a
of
Yorkshire,
the thing.
West Yorkshire rival
West
and
Yorkshire, it's a Yorkshire derby.
Yorkshire derby.
It's
Sorry, yeah,
a
West Yorkshire.
um, it's a stadium that will be up for the game regardless of whatever. They've just sacked Zisco, who I believe their fans absolutely hated.
Terrible.
Um, their club is in
It's in
a
turmoil.
state. It's in a toxic state at the moment. However, getting a result against Town and then bringing in somebody like Neil Warnock, for example, you've got a real kind of shining light in the season because after tomorrow, there's 35 games left to play, and they're only 7 or 8 points away from getting out of the relegation zone. I believe might be a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit
but
more.
I mean, by no means are they
They're
even
not dead and buried yet.
of being down and out. No, I
No,
mean
exactly.
look at Borough, look at Coventry last season, look
Yeah,
at Nottingham Forest the season they beat us in the playoff final. They were win. I think 9 games played, 0-1. They sacked Chris Hughton. Steve Reed did us at
Steve
our
Reed.
place. Is it Steve Reed?
I don't
Their
know.
assistant coach. I think he
Oh
did.
yeah, it might have been. I thought you were on about Steve
Yeah.
Cooper.
Yeah, no, Steve Reed, yeah, obviously they beat us 3-0 at our place, and then appointed Steve Cooper, and then they got promoted. So who knows, what do you say, 38 games or something like that?
Something like that. I think
Who
it's
knows,
30,
in
35, yeah.
35 games time, they could be playoffs. They could
It
be
could be,
up.
yeah.
It's literally, it's so early on in the season, and
Yeah.
like you said, this could be a completely pivotal moment in kind of their club internally with the fans, with the players. This could be the result that they need to get, and with the unpredictability of our club as a whole, it could quite possibly come tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a few Wednesday fans say a few times this season that players just don't look bothered.
Mm,
You can't have that tomorrow because that's when, if fans haven't started turning on players already, they will do.
they will, yeah.
Because, it's take aside the league position, going back to it's a Yorkshire derby. As much as we'll want to see our players do the exact same thing, so will they. And if players don't look up for it, it's gonna be frustrating.
And it
Um,
will show as well. It will
yeah,
show
oh,
because
100%.
you'll have
And
players who will be up for it.
oh yeah, and then you look at that how Hillsborough is at the moment. Hillsborough's a toxic place at the moment. There's been tennis balls thrown on the pitch. There's been, I believe, balloons let out, things like that. There's so much going on at Hillsborough that you have to look at that as Darren Moore and go, we have to capitalise on that because it is such a golden opportunity. But then equally, that's how they'll be looking too. They'll look at that and go, right, if there's a game that will kickstart our season, it would
This
be
is the one.
either us or Leeds beating them because
Yeah.
it's a derby. And it's just a great point where you can go, right, that'll get fans back on side. X, Y, Z, done. This is
Mm.
where it needs to start. So, face value, looking at the table, you go, I'm rather confident. You then see that it's Huddersfield Town, and you go, we know what's happened in these situations before, so it's a game that I'm nervous for, and I hope that Darren Moore goes back to what worked so well against Ipswich and in the second half against Coventry.
No, I'm quite confident he will, and all will be revealed soon because we are making the trip tomorrow.
We are, yeah.
Uh, and it's going to be a really, really tasty game, really fiery encounter. And I know we made quite a large mistake on score predictions last episode. I'm going to throw it onto you this episode. How do you see it panning out?
Before we do them, is there so from the lineup against Birmingham, what would you then kind of want to see against Sheffield Wednesday?
Jonathan Hogg,
Right, just
completely.
Jonathan Ogg,
Oh
or
no, 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 no. Obviously a lot more. I think uh Ben Jackson will probably be dropped to the bench.
yeah,
Um, it does raise the question: do you replace Tom Lees for Utah, who looked completely more comfortable on that left hand kind of centre half side? I think he probably would add more than Tom Lees. Again, we'll see. Bergzorg needs to book up his ideas because he was really, really non-existent on Tuesday. Be interesting if Karoma does start from the off. Also, I think Diarra is a player who could be quite effective if you do. I'm not saying start him, throw him off the bench last half an hour.
yeah,
If legs tiring and we need a goal. Um, I think he'll keep Ruffles in, and Pearson and Hellick I'm quite happy with, but the kind of spine of the team does need a bit of a rejig, and I think Hoggy will thrive in that game. Fingers crossed, he is fit. I'm not sure his status on his injury, but yeah, Hog. I think you need your strikers firing. You need
yeah.
someone who will be quite strong and versatile on both kind of left back and right back. Um, and yeah, we've just got to hope for the best. Hope you got to hope Nichols is in good form as well. But I think they'll know. I think they'll know the magnitude of the game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think if we're doing a full 11, I think obviously Nichols in goal. I think Hellick and Pearson, and then you
You see, yeah,
you go Ruffles and Sauber at wing backs.
Yep.
Wiles, Hogg, and
Oh,
Radoni,
Radona. Yep.
and
Perfect.
then Bergzorg and Keane Harrett or
Yeah.
Danny Ward.
Danny Wood. Yeah. I like they
Uh,
all.
I
Berg's and
think
someone else.
Harrett would like imagine Harrett scoring late on.
Oh, he
It'd
would love.
be he not only would he love that, but I think that'd kind of show where he's at as a player. Obviously, one goal ain't going to define a career or whatnot, but getting a goal against Wednesday would immediately make fans go to him even more than they are now.
I like this guy
Um,
because he scored against Sheffield Wednesday.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
people like him anyway. Um, but scoring a goal like that in the derby would be lovely. Again, I agree with what you said about Diarra as well. I think Diarra against tiring legs could be absolutely brilliant. And again, the same situation goes for him. Imagine if he were to get his first competitive goal
Case, wasn't it?
against Wednesday, it'd be lovely. But yeah, back to your question about score prediction. My heart's wanting it to be like 3 or 4-1,
No, 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 no.
but at the same time, I don't think it will be. Um, 2-1 Town,
Right.
and
Yeah.
Wednesday score first.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm not sure who's gonna score first because I'm not Mr. Meg, but yeah, 2-1
Yeah,
Town. It's a
that's
game we have to win.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's a it's a huge game because the thing is if you lose against Wednesday after the game against Birmingham, no matter what scoreline, we could literally lose 1-0 to the most dodgy penalty decision ever, and there would be questions asked about Darren Moore, regardless. And then the fact that you've got Leeds in 3 weeks, and then you've got more questions asked as well, kind of like, oh, this is another big game that we've got
Mm.
coming up. Is he the right man for the job? So it's it's gonna be a weird one to see how. Well, it's not gonna be a weird one at all to see how it plays out. It's just gonna be an interesting game to watch from a spectator, albeit a nervy one.
Mm.
So yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. I just hope I'm gonna be in a good mood with how we've played at full time.
Hopefully. Yeah, fingers crossed. I don't think there's anything else to say. We just got to, you know, not long to wait now, and got to see how it kind of pans out. And yeah, I'll let you kind of wrap it up as usual.
Well, yeah. Well, as always, thank you for watching, listening, on whatever platform you are listening, watching on. As always, we're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, any podcasting site you can think of. We're probably on there somewhere. Um, please like, share, subscribe. As always, it helps us out so much. We're always very grateful for the support that you always show, and we shall see you early next week. Hopefully, speaking about a Derby Day win. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.